Let's talk trade values on a Wednesday, November 19th in the morning. We're going to go through 5 players today. We'll look at some real trades that have happened for those players. Then we'll talk about what we think about those trades and for what teams I might make those trades, or if I would make them at all for some of them. Here's what we use for this video. We check out the Fantasy Calc trade database. So here you can go to fantasycalc.com/database. I've input some settings here on their trade database. Here's the tool. And I've got 5 players that we'll go through. The first one today, DeVonta Smith, wide receiver. Here's how we read this site. It'll have side 1 of the trade, side 2. It's kind of important that we track the date. Like here, only one trade has been made November 19th. A lot of these would have been made yesterday since our last video. To read it, you want to check the current differential. That's their calculated value. So this would say a slight edge to the team on the right, but 300 is very close. So when we see trades that are 300, 200, we like that. 5,000, we don't. And obviously, you probably would not trade DeVonta Smith and Rachaad White for JSN. Someone did, but you should not. So here are some of the more reasonable ones. Metcalf and DeVonta Smith for Justin Jefferson. I'm still sticking with Jefferson. Even if you're looking for some sort of depth, I think I would rather have the one receiver here who probably sees better days coming. A lot of the issues that we've seen with JJ McCarthy are kind of related to his mechanics. He's able to read a defense all right. Just delivering the ball is not quite there yet. And that's more fixable than being able to read a defense. So yeah, I would definitely move DeVonta Smith for that deal. Smith for Hampton. Here's a really interesting one. If you aren't using DeVonta Smith and you need a running back, like it's harder to find a running back than it is to find a reasonably useful wide receiver. So sure, I like sending this. You do have to eat a Hampton's bye this week, and then we hope that he comes back. All that we know so far is that they said he won't come back until at least after the week 12 bye. So we're in week 12. He's on bye. He could be back, but we don't know. I'm not sure why someone would do something like this. DeVonta Smith for Troy Franklin, so we'll skip it. And then here, DeVonta Smith and Devin Singletary for Travis Etienne. If you picked up Singletary and he's been working for you, and you can find a way to up tier and get Travis Etienne, even though this arrow says it favors the 2-team side, I'm going with the Etienne side here. And then just 1-for-1, DeVonta Smith for Tyler Warren. If you have lost your tight end, I think this is a great trade. You grab Tyler Warren there. Let's check out the next player. We're going to go from one wide receiver to another, and we've got T. Higgins, who should see an increased role this week with no Jamar Chase. We're hoping that leads to more targets and a lot more fantasy production. If we're just looking for wide receiver crossovers, T. Higgins or Lad McConkey, I would have these guys in around the same tier, and I don't see myself making a lot of trades like this. T. Higgins for DK Metcalf, I would comfortably prefer T. Higgins there, even with Jamar in weeks with Jamar Chase. So here, where we have Lad, Metcalf, I strongly prefer Lad. I strongly prefer T, and then Metcalf would be third out of those. Here, T. Higgins and Tyrone Tracy to up tier to Davante Adams. If you've picked up Tyrone Tracy and you can get this deal through, I really like it. T. Higgins for Drake London. I think the website here isn't taking into account Drake London's injury. Because the values on this site are based on real trades that have happened, they can lag behind. So here, 14-18 favoring Drake London. It's not taking into account T. Higgins' increased workload this week and Drake London's heavily decreased workload down to 0. Here's something that is reasonable. T. Higgins and Woody Marks for Nico Collins. I would rather have Nico Collins, and that's a trade that I think you should be looking to make if you have T. Higgins. Let's jump to a quarterback. I'll probably make a TikTok video about this today, about kind of a dumber, heavily risky strategy you can do with your quarterbacks. If you're 4-7 or a losing record, but could still make the playoffs if you win out, and you want to maximize your chances, you can get riskier. Ship your quarterback and just plug in someone like Brissett. There are waiver wire guys that you can find and stream to get you to the playoffs. So if we wanted to get rid of Baker Mayfield, could we do Baker Mayfield for the Mayfield and Singletary for DeAndre Swift? I think that would be enough for me. Mayfield and Breece Hall for Javonte Williams. Maybe you're looking for a little bit more sure production. Williams over Breece Hall, I'd be fine doing something like that. Mayfield for Michael Pittman to fill in your wide receivers. Mayfield and Jamison Williams, someone was very cheap for Emeka Ibuka. Again, this is favoring the Ibuka side, but if you can get a trade like this and then run with a Jacoby Brissett, I don't think that's a bad plan. I mean, it's not a plan for everyone. It's a plan for a very small group of people who are borderline trying desperately to get into the playoffs. But I've said it multiple times this year. I don't care if I come in last place or seventh place. If I don't make the playoffs in a league where 6 teams make the playoffs, if I don't get in, I don't really care where I finish. So I could shoot for something like that. Baker Mayfield and Alec Pierce for Judkins, same kind of idea. Let's jump to running backs. Teams need a lot of running backs here. The first trade we see, someone sent DeVonta, who's on bye. This is probably a trade sent by another desperate team. They got Ted McMillan off of a big game and Ashton Jeanty. We're looking at Ashton Jeanty here. So would I do that if I had Achane? There's situations where you can be desperate. If I am a desperate team trying to move Achane away, I think I'm trying to get more than this. But if you have Jeanty and you're trying to just lock things up for the playoffs, get the best playoff team, and you can eat this bye week, I could move these players for him. Here's another one, Jeanty and Michael Wilson. Wilson coming off of the big week, and you get Trevion Henderson, kind of calling your shot here, saying it's going to be Henderson, no Ramondre Stevenson, and Jeanty won't have better games, and it's all Trevion. Like, I'm okay with that. Or that Trevion will just have better games. I could understand someone doing that. Here, just cross position. Would I move Jeanty for Pickens if I found multiple other running backs? I'm totally fine with moving Jeanty for Pickens here. I think that's the right value crossover. Pickens, maybe a Roma Dunze, maybe we're getting around a T. Higgins. So here's one, Jeanty and Williams for Judkins and T. Higgins as very, very close, or Jeanty and Caleb Williams for Kyron Williams. On this one, which side would I prefer? I kind of like them both. It's pretty even. And then here, if I have the extra quarterback, I like the up tier. So if you have Caleb Williams, maybe Williams and Drake May, maybe Caleb Williams and Daniel Jones, maybe Caleb Williams and you have no one and you're deciding, I'm just going to pick up someone on waivers and run with that because Kyron gives me the best chance to make the playoffs. I think I could be okay with that. The final player in the video today, we've got Javonte Williams. We have covered him in a TikTok probably 2 months ago. Let's take a look at some trades that have happened with him now after we've seen sustained success with the Cowboys. Williams for a package of Tyrone Tracy and Cortland Sutton. I'm not taking that. I want Javonte Williams. Here's a more reasonable one. Williams for Emeka Ibuka and Kyle Monangai. Yeah, I think I could understand doing this. I would put Williams and Ibuka very close to each other. And then if you needed kind of a desperation RB2 or flex play or Kyle Monangai becomes your reserve option in case of injury, we're turning to Kyle Monangai. That's about how I would view him. And then you get a better wide receiver. And maybe that player sending Javonte here has multiple good running backs and they're trying to just convert things. This is a trade that seems fine to me based on the team. Here's one sending Williams and Metcalf for Rashee Rice. Again, you probably need to have a team that can survive without Javonte Williams. Maybe I have a team like that. I've got James Cook, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, and I think one other running back. So I could definitely move on without Javonte Williams and just put Rashee Rice into my starting lineup. There are teams like that exist. Here's one. Here's a trade to acquire Williams. Let's describe it that way. Sending Breece Hall and Troy Franklin, who has looked good in the past couple weeks, and you come away with Javonte Williams. I'm all right with that. I think I like Williams more than Breece Hall rest of season, and I think a lot of people would agree. Here's Javonte Williams just for Nico Collins, and I think that's fine. I think that's a great position swap. Just one for one. We've seen a couple of those. So if you're looking for a wide receiver and you have Williams as excess on your team, just make the swap and you'll be all right. So we'll leave this on the screen as we close out the video. Thank you very much. If this helps you make a trade before your trade deadline, let me know in the comments. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'm just one guy making these videos, so I do really appreciate it. If you have a player you would like to see, there will be a pinned comment. You can respond there. It'll say, which player would you like to see in a video like this? And you can type it in, and then we'll do it for tomorrow's video. We've also got ranks for week 12 that will be on your screen right now or may have popped up while I've been talking about it. We go through each game individually and we talk about each of the players in those games and where I would have them ranked for this week for fantasy football. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one.